Are we gonna name it what I want to name it? Are you guys okay with the Husky podcast? It only makes sense to call it Puck the Huskies Podcast.
That's not bad. I mean, it could be worse.
It's pretty good, right?
I can live with that. I mean, why not?
I only would do it with you two because you two, one, are not sensitive, and you guys have good, like the three of us, we have good sense of humors, and we can give each other shit. That's what I enjoy about the two of you. Jordan Reffett is with us, played at Washington from 2004 to 2007. And I didn't know, I should have known this. You are one of like only 3 players to the 2-time winner of the Flaherty Award, given the team's most inspirational player. Is that true,
yes,
Jordan?
That is true. One of my only claims to fame right there. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, that's a damn good claim to fame, man.
There was only
amazing.
2 other people that have ever done it in like the 100+ year of the football program. It's a pretty damn good accomplishment. Of course, Elise Woodward starred at the University of Washington. She was the Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
For the Husky basketball team.
Start the podcast off with just massive lies. Okay, cool.
You never turn down a shot. Just shooting from everywhere.
That's true. I just didn't make them like Caitlin did.
Yeah, it's okay. At least you know what?
I tried.
You can't make them if you don't take them, right?
That's true.
That's right.
That's true. You shoot it till you make it. You shoot it till you miss. That was my mantra.
Long time sideline analyst for Husky football. What year are we going into?
I always know because I was pregnant with my firstborn the year that I got the job as a sideline reporter, and I hid the fact that I was pregnant so that I could get the job because I didn't think I was going to get it if they knew that I was pregnant. And so he is 20 years old. So this will be my 21st season, fellas. I'm so old. I covered Jordan back in the day.
I love it. I remember.
20 children of his own. In fact, your daughter was on the sideline. I remember like autograph day or something. I was out there with, I think at the time you were the only dad on the team, right?
Yep. No, I was. It was, but it's been a long time. I can't remember. I was there when you started. That's amazing. I love it.
I was there before you even got there, Jordan. I started in 2003.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And Jordan has 9 girls.
8.
Oh, 8. Oh, sorry. 8.
Yeah,
I gave you an extra one.
8 is enough. You got to know that.
8 is great.
All right. So you guys like the Puck the Huskies podcast? That's pretty good. I mean, Jordan, thumbs up. Elise, she's good with it.
It's great.
No, yeah. I mean, it's a little play on words, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a little play on words. That's all right. I mean, I'm good with it. We'll have fun with it.
It's all brought to you by Georgetown Brewery, locally owned and operated by 2 diehard Huskies. I don't know if you guys know that, Manny and Roger. They bleed purple and gold.
Good man.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Good man.
Love it. Winners.
They've been
how
pouring.
Is it, come on, Puck. How is it that the best beer brewed out there is by Huskies? That should be a personal affront to Cougs.
I know, it bothers me. It bothers me a lot.
Better at beer too. I mean, come on, Puck.
I think if you cut them open, there would be a little crimson that would come out of both. But you know what? You got to tip your cap to both of them. I love them dearly. They've been pouring the best local craft beer for the past 23 years. Makers of Manny's Pale Ale, Bodie's Zaffa IPA, and a host of other favorite brews. The tap room open every day, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Georgetown Beer. .com. You can follow Jordan on Twitter at Jordan Reffett. You can follow Elise on Twitter as well, Elise M. Woodward, who has got the youngest son now going to UW, a scholar athlete just like her and just like Dad.
Yeah, just like
Unbelievable.
That. Yeah.
Empty nester, and she's excited, Jordan, to be an empty nester. You will never know what that's like.
I can't even imagine. I can't even picture what it would be like. I mean, you guys don't want to know what it was like in my house getting set up for this podcast because I was like telling the girls, I was like, trust me, I need like 30 minutes.
So,
take the little ones. I don't want to hear any screaming. Give me 30 minutes.
Jordan, you are the guy on what was the BBC where the little kid came in and the circle thing, and then the mom freaked out and pulled the kid back, which is like what all of us felt like during COVID. But I'm done with those times now, Jordan. I'm done.
Oh, I know.
At least I should be. I hope. God.
Hey, well, by looking at you, you never know it.
It's unbelievable. She's getting younger and younger. Whatever she's on, we're going to be on.
Yes, I want some of that.
Okay, I'll give you guys my secrets.
Tequila. That's what it is, Jordan. It's tequila. That's the secret. All right. So before we look ahead, because so much has changed in college football, right? In the last year, I mean, just it's monumental shifts, changes, all of that, and specifically with the Husky program. Let's look back here first. Let's put a wrap on last season. And if I would have told both of you, and Elise, I want to start with you first, because you got boots on the ground. You're interviewing players. They lose a national championship game. Heck, you don't know. Plays go different ways. Maybe something changes in the second half, that early interception, what have you. But as you're covering and interviewing players coming off the field, and Kalen DeBoer, what are you thinking? Hey, they're back here next year. Nothing's really going to change. I mean, within a few days, I mean, you start already hearing rumors and talk that he's going to leave and go to Alabama. I mean, just how surreal was covering that. And when you were on that field, could you imagine where you'd be almost, a week or 2 weeks later?
I mean, the whole thing is crazy. And that's what college football is right now. It's expect the unexpected. I mean, I remember when Rome Odunze said before the season that it would be a disappointment if they don't win a national championship. And I remember thinking, wow, okay, like, we're going to go there. Like, that's really bold, Rome. And then they run through 14-0. And I think the stress level for everybody was so high because each game seemed like it went down to the fourth quarter and they had to make plays, and they always did. And then you get to the national championship game, and God, if they get a stop in the third quarter coming out, you just felt like the momentum had turned at halftime and that UW was going to make a run like they've done the whole season. It just didn't happen. But when the game ended, I mean, you knew that Penix was going to go. You knew that Rome was going to go. You knew that McMillan would most likely go. I didn't know about Polk, but, all these different guys, like, you knew the guys that were going to go pros, the team was going to be significantly different. And you heard the rumors and I just didn't have a good feeling about Kalen DeBoer staying when he didn't sign that contract. You were like, it was just kind of wishy-washy. Like, it was on there and it was in front of him. And I heard that he also shared the agent of Nick Saban, you're like, okay, when that news dropped immediately, I think everybody was nervous. And I really like Kalen DeBoer. And I honestly think that, my thought is on it that his agent was like, you're going to take this job. Not that it wasn't his choice or anything like that. I just think that it's a career move for him, that it's like, that's a job you have to take. And so he took it. And I don't hold any ill will towards him at all. I know a lot of people do. The only thing that I didn't like about the way that it was handled was the fact that he did not ever address the Husky fans. He didn't thank the Husky players publicly. That bothered me because he's such I felt like he was such a genuine guy that part of it bothered me. The fact that he took the job, it's a profession. If we don't realize that by now, then, the kids are professionals now. The student athletes are all pro. Like, it's just the way that it is, and it's frustrating at times. But, did I think was I surprised that he left? No, I really am not surprised by any coach moving on, because everything is, as we've seen over the last however many years, with every school and every sport, coaches are going to move and shake, and they're going to, continue to try to leverage and get as much money as they can. I wasn't a surprise, but all of the transfers that left, some of that was certainly a surprise. But shoot, Jedd Fisch was a great hire, and they've been working. I've been really impressed with the recruiting and the guys they got in the portal, and so onward and upward.
Hey, Jordan, how quick it happened, right? Did it take anything away from the season for you?
Yeah, I mean, it really did. I think we didn't have an opportunity to really celebrate the team. I think that was a huge part of this whole situation. It was so chaotic and such a downer for such a historic season for Husky football. I mean, you have absolute legends that were on that team that did amazing things, and the run that they went on. And I was kind of like Elise. I never stopped believing up until that fourth quarter that the Huskies are going to come back and win this game. I thought it was a team of destiny, the way that they had played all season. But the whole Kalen DeBoer situation, and I had gotten close with Coach DeBoer, and I have nothing but amazing things to say about him. He was absolutely phenomenal to me, my family, the alumni, the players. I mean, he was awesome. But it was such a horrible timing. I mean, because of the fact that, this whole season, I think, kind of got washed away by Coach DeBoer going to Alabama, and then Jedd Fisch coming in, and then like this whole new era. So I feel like we didn't get to celebrate and really go through how profound that season was for the guys and the fans and the alumni. But I was like Elise as well, where it made a lot of sense to me where these guys were, it was such a tough, it was tough the way that he did it, because, I had to take this job. I had to do this, and did you really? I mean, we had lots of money on the table at UW too, and his daughter was coming to play softball. I thought for sure he was staying. But it was such a kick in the nuts. I mean, it was just such a downer to such an amazing season.
I don't know how. I don't know how. Well, I know how I'd answer this. If the roles were reversed, like it would piss me off. It really would. I mean, I get real bitter about this stuff. Like it took me years to get over Mike Price.
I was just going to say.
Mike Price bothered me so much. And then the fact that they let Mike Price coach in the Rose Bowl. Like I was livid about it. I was like, why? He doesn't want to be here. He left. He took another job. And then, but after years went by, I realized, all right, Price, he was a great coach, and I get the opportunity to go there. A little different because he was there so long. And I just wonder, Jordan, first with you, because he was there for such a short period of time, and he did look like he was, a lot of people would say he's the second coming of Don James. Like he just has all of the right qualities, and he has won wherever he's gone. Because it was such a short stint, I mean, does it bother you, or are you willing to, hey, let's move on? I'll be bothered by it, but I'll forgive him as years pass.
Well, I think thank goodness he wasn't here for 6, 8, 10 years and then he goes. I think that was the best situation that could have happened, is having a guy come in for 2 years, have a historic season, really two really, really amazing seasons. They finished in the top 8 in 2022. Then obviously runner-up in the national championship in 2023. But you feel like, the Huskies had some teeter-totter years there. You go from Chris Peterson to Coach Lake, and then all of a sudden you're back on top with Coach DeBoer, and you really feel like this is going to be something that continues. And we had all the foundation there and all the ingredients and all the great things going, even though he wasn't very good at recruiting, right? And he hadn't had the recruiting going at Washington at the time. But it didn't matter because we thought he was, the quarterback guru. He was a guy that could turn Michael Penix into, the Heisman and to the number, a top 10 draft pick and all this stuff. So, but it's still, it really sucks. I mean, it was for fans everywhere. And I obviously on Twitter, I see people that are still, bitter and mad. And because we had such a good thing going, and it's tough when that happens but it's Alabama too, where, if it would have been, a UCLA or a Texas even. Somebody that I think that we could maybe, our tradition might have something close to that. Obviously, Texas is an elite program, probably Texas, Alabama right up there. But Alabama, but leaving after the GOAT, coming in after Nick Saban, I was like, is that a good career move? Number one, right? But it's Alabama. He's got to go. But it really, really sucks. It really sucked for this program.
Elise, how do you think fans, you think it will shift how they view him now and oppose how they view him in, 10, 15, 20 years from now?
Well, I certainly think that you can't take away what was accomplished here. And I think when people you're a fan, and he was the type of guy, just his personality and the way that he presented himself, that you thought he was a guy that was going to buckle down and be here for a long time. That's just that this was such a good fit for him. And so I think it's going to take a while for fans to get over that. But I do think that when you talk about memories made, I'm telling you, the national championship game in Houston, that whole week, it's one of the coolest things that, I approach my job as I'm a member of the media, but when I'm not on the field, I'm a Husky, and I was reunited with all these friends I hadn't seen in 20 years. It was the coolest thing. Like, bars were packed with former Husky athletes of every sport, and it was a celebration of being a dog and wearing the purple and gold. And all of the athletes know that football carries the mail for the athletic department. And so one of the biggest reasons I wanted to go to UW is because I saw the Huskies come into Eugene and kick the hell out of the Ducks every year. And, they're out there on national TV doing all this stuff. Like, all the other athletes can't help but notice that. And so I'm just saying that was such an incredible week. And so I hope the fans can take those memories of nobody wants to be left at the altar. That's the bottom line. Nobody wants somebody to leave on their own accord. But you have to move on, and you have to take what is good about what happened. And there was so much great. If you ask me, you want somebody mediocre in there for 2 years and then you fire him like Jimmy Lake?
Yeah.
The answer is no. You want somebody great that's going to be sought after. And that goes all the way back to, Bob Bender when he was the basketball coach and getting courted by Texas, and everybody's like freaking out. And things ebb and flow. And, you give it 3 games and you lose, and all of a sudden the fans want to kick him out. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? He had a fantastic 2-year run. And, but to be fair also it would have been a massively different coaching staff than the one that he would have brought back, because the Seahawks took the offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach.
Right.
So it would have been and you mentioned it, Jordan, the recruiting was not where it needed to be at all with the kind of success they had, and not having, top 20 recruiting classes. That was a concern. And so, there's positives and negatives.
I don't know if Grubb leaves. I don't know if Grubb takes that job at the Seahawks if Coach DeBoer stays. I think that Coach Grubb wanted to be in Seattle. I don't know. I think that he loved being a Husky, but maybe because he loves Seattle. I mean, he didn't want to be at
Alabama. I mean,
he didn't want to be at Alabama, though. I mean, I know for a fact he did not want to be at Alabama. He wanted to be the head coach at Washington when Coach DeBoer left. That was he wanted to stay in Seattle. I guess you're right. It is in Seattle. His wife loves it there. But I don't know if maybe, I don't know. Maybe
I'll be really curious, you guys. I'm telling you that Ryan Grubb, of all the coaches in all the different sports that I have covered, if you want to talk about a dude that has been impressive in terms of X's and O's and explaining the game, holding his players accountable, and he had a ton of success. He didn't have a lot of instances where you were like, oh, okay, dealing with adversity. I'm not really sure. He didn't have a lot of losses. So, but that guy is as impressive as anybody that I've come across in terms of being a coach and pushing the right buttons and adjustments. And I mean, he's phenomenal. And I think that it's going to be different for Kalen DeBoer without him there calling the plays. And Kalen had a lot of success without him, and I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying that those two, the combination was pretty special.
Absolutely. I just want to say, you heard it here first, because it's either Jim Moore or Puck or somebody that always says that Fisch is going to Florida. I would say that Coach Grubb would be the next head coach at Washington.
Well, here's what I'm going to ask.
If that does happen.
If he's going
to Florida. I don't think he's, because Florida's going to come up after this year. I don't think he's going to Florida.
I love both of you.
This year?
If he has any amount of success, he'll leave after a year. It's just what he's done. He's done it everywhere he's gone.
That's a lot of investment into Washington to leave after a year. Just my opinion.
He's in a suitcase his whole coaching career.
But here's the only thing, Puck. He's been a head coach 3 years at Arizona. And this job was significantly better, and the Arizona athletic department refused to pay him. He had that contract. He wanted to sign it, and they wouldn't buck up because their athletic department doesn't have the if you're an assistant coach, yeah, you bet you're ping-ponging up the ladder. That's how you have to do it. So as an assistant coach, that's what most of the time you do. If you're a head coach and you're ping-ponging around, that's a different story, but that hasn't been the case. So, we'll see.
Do you think I want to go back to the Grubb thing, though, for a second. Would you guys have preferred that Grubb be the head coach? Jordan? Sounds like you would have preferred him to be named the head coach.
Number one, I'm 100% happy with Coach Fisch. I love Coach Fisch. I think he's been awesome so far. He's done amazing in his short time at Washington. I love what he's doing. I love everything about him. I love his staff. I would have been happy if they hired Coach Grubb as well. So, I text Coach Grubb. I got to know Coach Grubb. He is a great dude. He is a guy that reached out to hundreds of alumni. He reached out to fans. He's a guy that is a very approachable guy, but he's one of the smartest X's and O's guys I've ever met. Just to be around that stuff, especially being removed from football since 2011 or whatever it was, and then coming back and hearing guys like him, he's in a spaceship all by himself when it comes to the offense. He really does things that are unique, and he's always figuring out ways to gain the advantage as an offensive play caller. So for me, obviously he's never been a head coach. There's a lot of things that come with it. I think Coach Fisch has a lot of different aspects of what he does that's very beneficial to a program. He's a CEO type guy. So I think Coach Grubb is going to have to grow into that and becoming a head coach. But I would definitely not be surprised if anything happens with Coach Fisch, which if it's a good thing, if he goes 14-1 and leaves for, a high level, big time program, I would be happy if Coach Grubb was the next coach at Washington.
At least, do you think it changes anything, if Grubb would have been the choice, if there was a different AD at the time? I mean, we talk about changes. How long was Dan in there for? 5 months?
Oh, God.
All right. So I guess if there was, let's say Pat Chun was there now, or what had immediately taken over when Jen Cohen left. Does Pat Chun just say, I like stability, and if Ryan Grubb wants the job, we'll elevate him? I mean, do the circumstances with the athletic director change kind of the route that they went down?
Well, it might, because I think each athletic director has their own idea of what is going to work for them as a head coach. Yeah. There was a thing I know where for a time in the athletic department, they are not going to hire somebody who has no experience being a head coach after what happened with Jimmy Lake. I'm telling you guys, Jimmy Lake, dealing with that guy for as many years as I did, I was as shocked as anybody that just was a massive failure. He just did not transition well from being the assistant coach to being the head coach. And you see that all the time. It's just all of that pressure and you're not a ball coach. You are running an organization. You're the CEO. And so, that's the thing with Ryan Grubb that I will say that it would make me hesitate right now is the fact that he's so good at the X's and O's. That's what he's now. Is he the one that wants to be behind the scenes and doing this other stuff? Maybe. We don't know. And so, with Jedd Fisch, he's already got that experience of doing all that and moving families and hiring a staff. And you guys are just so recruiting. It's all of it. Ryan Grubb, I don't know if he'd ever want to take a step back and not dedicate 14 hours to the film room. He does, but he's just so good at it that, he would be great. I think he would be great. I have the utmost respect for Grubb. But if you're an athletic director, would that have been the first choice? Maybe, but if you don't want somebody learning on the job at, a Power 5, school that was in the national championship last year, he wouldn't have been the guy.
Hey, Jordan, you can answer this right after Elise. What's your first impressions of Fisch, Ben? Elise?
I like him. I think I was out at practice the other day, and his attention to detail is what strikes me. Like they were just going through a random just wide receiver drill, and he's out there, he's going through all the drills from the defense to the offense or whatever. But, he stopped and he talked to the wide receiver about, it was like a half a step. You got to break here and not here. And then he was like, yeah, good job. I think that he has brought a tremendous amount of energy. And I think there were so many people that were hurt by how things left at the end of the national championship run, where they finished, runner-up. That, as you mentioned, Jordan, I agree. You felt like you didn't even get a chance to, get back from Houston and, settle in and, reminisce and have fun about what a great year it was before it was, on to the next thing. And I think that Jedd Fisch was hired quickly, and I think he has been perfect. He is exactly what UW needed when they hired him because he's full of energy. He's all about the players. He's all about recruiting and getting guys out there. He's been great. And I'll tell you, that guy is a grinder. He's working his tail off all the time. So I think Husky fans should be really excited just about the work ethic that he's bringing to UW.
No, and I think that with Coach Fisch, when I first got a chance to meet him and talk to him and be around him, the first couple times was that it always comes back to that CEO level, elite level human being, where he is always thinking 5 years ahead on how he can be the next best thing at whatever. It could be hiring a staff. He's always trying to be on the cutting edge. He's a person that always tries to be ahead of the curve. That's how he came off to me, in the way that he does things, and the way that he really reached out to the alumni and wanted to have meetings. You know, we had several Zoom meetings with him. He wanted to know how we felt, what's going on, you know, through all the chaos with the national championship game and Coach DeBoer bringing all the alumni in, and then, you know, Coach DeBoer leaving, and then, you know, this, you know, what should the alumni do, right? And so he thinks about everything. You talk about attention to detail, not only attention to detail, but every detail. I'm talking about recruiting. He is serious about recruiting. He is not a guy that I think thinks, hey, you know, recruiting will take care of itself if we win ball games, which was more Coach DeBoer's kind of sitting back and you know, hey, he wants the best facilities. He wants to have the newest best thing. He wants to have whatever a recruit wants. He wants to be on top of that cutting edge. He's a cutting edge head coach is what I feel.
Well, have you guys go ahead, Elise.
I was just going to say, Puck, that the thing that is most remarkable to me about Coach Fisch is how he got started, and that he did not play college football. He's a lot like your guy, Mike Leach, that when you have to grind because you are never, ever given the benefit of the doubt because you were not a player and you didn't build relationships as a player. And so how you have to be good in all aspects, it's different. And I think he's got that grinder mentality. He has had to work for everything. He's never been handed a single thing because you see so many coaches that, hey, they were an All-American. They get breaks. They may have been a great player. They're not a great coach, but they get breaks because of their name and where they played or who they know. And I think for him, and this goes for any career, he has had to work his way up literally from the bottom to get where he is. And I appreciate that about him.
Have you guys heard that he has NFL experience? Guys,
yeah.
Is
that something that
something he promotes at all?
Be a pro. Okay?
What is it like, Elise, when you see how much? Be honest right now. I'll be honest. Us Coug fans, we mock it. There probably is some jealousy to it, but we mock it, and I mock it personally because
y'all mock
it feels like
you don't have to preface it.
But it feels like that's all he talks about is NFL, like this NFL way of this, NFL way of that. Okay, but how much is Bill Belichick really around? Is he around a lot? And do you think he has like his fingerprints on this more than we even know?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how much it really is. Have I seen Bill out there at multiple practices? Yes, I have. Have I seen Pete Carroll just popping in at multiple practices? Yes, I have. It's like, oh, geez.
Is he still chewing gum? Is he still chewing gum and white monarchs on? Yes,
he's the best. Just, how does a guy that is damn near 70 years old have more energy? Or 70? How is he bebopping around?
70,
it's like
5. Yeah.
Is he that old? I can't even. He seems like he's about 55. But they've been at multiple practices. Okay. So does that mean that they're diving into things? No, but do I think that they can, obviously have a pulse and make suggestions? And for sure, I think that they're the coaching staffs and their sons that they will listen when they have suggestions. I would agree with that.
As a former player, Jordan, why is that impactful? Why is it impactful to run it like an NFL style and have NFL players, or NFL coaches around your college program? When he says he wants to run it like an NFL program, what does that mean?
So for me, I think it revolves around being a pro, right? Being a professional in everything you do. So we talk about, obviously, the NFL, that's one aspect of it, but being a pro in the classroom, being a pro human being, whether it's a husband, a father, continuing to grow and being a pro in whatever you do, because he knows, and we all know, that a very small percentage of these guys are going to play in the NFL, right? So being a pro is not only about, obviously, the NFL, but right now it's about recruiting, right? We got to recruit guys that want to go to the NFL. We want to recruit guys that are going to get to the NFL, because those are the guys going to win you football games, is the Jimmys and the Joes. So having a program built around NFL success, guys that have had success in the NFL, it's not only great for the guys there, but it's also, guys want to be a part of that. We want, high school football coaches coming to the clinics. We want to make sure that we got all the high school football coaches understand what's going on at Washington. Something great is happening at Washington. But what I wanted to add really fast about Steve Belichick is something that's really very interesting to me. I got a chance to meet him a couple of times, talk to him. We had an event a couple months back, and he was just a fresh hire. It kind of looked like deer in the headlights, just getting started. And I really think just talking to people is that his dad will have an impact on the defense 100%. 100%. So there's no doubt in my mind that you'll see this Washington defense and Bill Belichick's fingers will be all over it. I think that it makes sense because it's the first time of having him in college football and doing a new thing. But I think the big thing about being a pro and being the NFL program is running things the right way and being a pro in life. So I know guys, they sometimes mock it, and I get a lot of guys, my Coug buddies and even the Duck guys, and I do have some friends that are Ducks. Not real friends, but frenemies. But
acquaintances,
right? So, but it is one of those things where it's about being a pro in everything you do.
Sure.
So I think it's important.
All right, we've done a lot of we haven't really talked about what are the expectations. I mean, there's so many. Elise, you probably know the number. Is it 46 different players? Transfers?
I think that's out. I know that they returned one technical starter, although I think that's weird because Carson Brewer to me is a starter. But
that is unbelievable.
Tupatala is a starter.
Tupatala, Carson Bruner, Elijah Jackson, Cam Fibiculanen. So they got some experience on the defensive side. But I mean, for me, people are like, "What have you seen?" Well, I've been out there quite a bit, and what I've seen throughout the spring and then now through the fall is that their skill guys are going to be up. I'm really impressed with their skill guys. With Jonah Coleman and Cam Davis coming back and being healthy, those two running backs are really good, proven dudes. Yeah. I mean, Cam Davis, before he got hurt, was the number one back ahead of Dylan Johnson, had 13 touchdowns the year before. And Jonah Coleman, I asked him the other day, I was like, "Hey man, describe your style because you're different." And he's like, "Well, I've been called a bowling ball with arms before, so I guess I'll take it." Yeah. And I was like, "All right, Jonah, I would not want to tackle that guy. He just has so much, he's so compact." So, and Will Rogers, if you talk about an experienced guy, so Oregon's, transfer quarterback from Oklahoma, he's got some experience, obviously. And then Will Rogers is going to have as most experience as anybody. And what I've seen from him, he gets the ball out quickly. He gets the ball out on time. He knows where he's going. He's very seasoned, smart dude, leader, unflappable. So he's a guy that if you want, those are the qualities you want under a first-year situation. He's going to be great as a seasoned fifth-year guy. And then their wide receivers with Denzel Boston. He's a dude. He's a guy with NFL potential. He's 6'4", almost 200 pounds, 205, and he's got the ability to get up. He's got good hands. I think he is a guy that's going to be a star in the making. So they've got skill guys. It's going to come down to their offensive and defensive lines. And that right now, that's the whole key to the season. So, are they, we don't know. There are no live bullets in fall camp and spring. It's not really, they didn't really have their entire offensive line. And so to me, that's the big question mark. They've got dudes that can run and catch, but do they have the guys to block for them? And then on the other side as well, their D-line, Jordan. I mean, that as a former D lineman, you would know, but that's always the key to every team. So we'll see.
Hey, hold on, Jordan. Now I'll hold you to it if you're right. Well, actually, if you're wrong, we'll hold you to it. But if you're right, then we won't bring it up again. What do you think is a success? What is a successful first year Fisch-wise, record-wise for Jedd Fisch? Is it 8 wins?
Realistically, I think if Jedd Fisch
hold on, Jordan, hold on. I'm gonna Elise, you answer that first, then I'll get to you, Jordan. I'm sorry, I did a poor job of setting that up.
Well, I will say that I'm a big fan of the over-unders in Vegas, and
yes, you are.
Over-under in Vegas is 6.5. That's the number of wins that I've seen, and I think that's fair. And so I think if you're looking at 7-8 wins in year one with the amount of roster turnover. I know it's not 14 wins and an appearance in the national championship or a Pac-12 title or now a Big Ten title. All of those things and a Sugar Bowl win, which was one of the greatest experiences ever. That was so much fun in New Orleans. Still recovering. But anyway, I think, you look at that. I think there's just so much to be determined and so much unknown because of the turnover that, 7-8 wins. I think, you're always wanting to have a double-digit win season, but, I think that's the baseline of a successful season is having a winning season, making a bowl game, and and with a brand new roster, essentially.
You track with that, Jordan?
Pretty close. I think that getting to that 8 wins is crucial. I think, realistically, we're going to have some growing pains this year. The Huskies are going to have some growing pains. There's going to be some games where we're outmatched. There's going to be some games where we cannot finish the game because of maybe some depth issues. That's going to happen because of where we're at right now, because of the turnover. But I think that 8 wins, if he gets to 8 wins with a chance to get to 9 wins in a bowl game, that to me is a successful season. I could see, less because of the schedule and moving to the Big Ten and the travel and the quick short weeks. There's tons of stuff that could happen. But I mean, 8 wins with a chance to get to 9 wins is realistic for a successful season for Coach Fisch.
Hey, Jordan, how bad do you think the Cougs? How bad do you think we'll beat you on September 14th? Like more than 10, 15, 20? What do you think? How bad will the beatdown be at Lumen Field?
I was actually hoping it was in Pullman, just because I wanted to go to Pullman and just run up and down the aisles with my Natty Light, with my W on the side, and party like usual. But no, it'll be in Lumen Field. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people realize. I know it's been really tough this year for Wazoo, and obviously being in Wazoo country, I have tons of friends that are diehard Wazoo guys, and nobody talks about Wazoo. Nobody's talking about UW really as much either on the national stage, but really, Wazoo's got some returners. They have a pretty good coaching staff. They have some things that they can do. It's not a game where Washington's going to walk in there with this roster and do what they've done and just blow the doors off with like Vita Vea and all these guys that are just so much better than everybody on the Cougs roster. I think it's going to be a game, and it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be probably a 7-point spread. I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's out yet. But it's going to be a game.
Well, I can check. I usually am on top of this stuff. I was
going to say, let's go. Come on, Puck.
I'm seeing right now. Hold on, this 7.5 for the Huskies.
That's about what I thought.
Take the Cougs. Run to the bank with that one.
You know what?
You guys, at least let me ask you this as we wrap it up. Give me the Cougs plus 7.5. Come on, all day. Because I think you guys think this way. I think knowing both of you, how long I've known both of you for a very, very, very long time, that I think you probably track the same way I do. That you're happy where you're at because you have stability in the Big Ten. Like me being a Cougar fan, it's the great unknown here for the next year or two. I have no idea where they're going to be. Do they end up in the Mountain West? Do they end up in some relegation of some other conference, the ACC, what have you, and you're fighting for scraps right now. But knowing you guys would prefer if the Pac-10 or Pac-12 were just still around. That 100%. None of this happened, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, you're talking about it was the choice of all of us on the West Coast. There's no West Coast Power League. That's insane. That is massively disappointing to me as, somebody that grew up in a Pac-10 city, played in the Pac-10, covered the Pac-12. My kids play in the Pac-12. I mean, the whole thing, it's in my blood, and it's going to be very different. Now, if you're asking me the choice between the Pac-12 staying or all this reorganization, it's the Pac-12. If you're asking me if you'd rather be in the Big Ten or if you'd rather be, without a conference, you'd be in the Big Ten for sure. I mean, I think it makes a ton of sense in terms of the academics and, some great universities. I feel awful for the Cougs and the Beavers. I wish that part never had happened. It's completely out of your control. It seems incredibly unfair. And I understand why so many are just it would be really, really hard not to be so pissed off that you just are screw it, I'm done. And that right now is a lot of college sports in its entirety with coaches, the Husky fan base, the coach leaves after a 14-win season and there's fans that, are going to, screw it, I'm done. I mean, it is a tumultuous time to be a college sports fan. And, I'm, for one, I know there's a lot of Coug fans that are I don't want any part of it. I'll be really curious with the Apple Cup. I'm thrilled the Apple Cup is still there, even though it's in September and I won't have to freeze my ass off and pull it in, which I secretly enjoyed doing. But, I mean, I think at least there's still that. And it's such an important tradition for everybody in the state. It's such a big deal for the teachers and the classrooms and the Go Cougs and the Go Huskies and all that. I would have been so sad to see that go away. The tradition is what makes college sports great. So at least we have that in week 3 of the season. It won't be the same, but it's better than nothing. And that's,
I think what's lost in a Jordan is that the anticipation, like when both teams are, and relatively for the last 10 years, right? 15, there's been so many occasions where it came down to that last game was the North winner or the Pac-12 champion came out of this, going to the championship game. And I think what's going to be lost is, especially when you live in Seattle or wherever in the state, the back and forth each week with the fan bases in anticipation for that game in the 3rd week of November, knowing what's on the horizon. And, oh, God, you guys barely got past Arizona State. Well, we crushed Arizona State, so we're going to beat you guys. That's what I think a lot of people are going to fail to realize right now what they're going to miss. And you're going to miss and this is for everybody, right? You're going to miss going down to Tempe, right, Jordan? And then to see the Seahawks play the double dip on Sunday. Because, that's over, right?
That was the best.
And stuff,
I'll just say real quick,
stinks.
I'm going to miss Thanksgiving dinner. It was always Thanksgiving talking trash.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
All Thanksgiving dinner, it's just like, oh my God, let me survive and get, that it's just the timing of it.
No, it's hard. It's absolutely terrible. And like you said, I mean, all year long between me and Cougs, it's the text back and forth all year long. The schedule is so, I mean, like, oh man, the Huskies are terrible. It doesn't matter, we're undefeated.
Complaining about playing on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, the late night games and, you guys are looking terrible. What's going on, and that's what was so fun about it is that lead up to Thanksgiving. And then the family, getting sloshed and Uncle Bill's, drank too much and he's talking about 1979 and the Apple Cup. And those were the days, because that was so much fun, especially growing up in Washington where it was a big deal. It was always in the schools. I mean, it was always that you could smell it in the air when the Apple Cup was coming. And those trips to Pullman were priceless. I mean, even when I was in high school, I'd go watch the Apple Cup, and whether it was at UW or in Pullman, it was like the best time of my life, as a kid, as a 15, 16-year-old kid going to watch the Apple Cup. And now to have that all ripped away is terrible. And I feel sick to my stomach for all the Coug fans because, they put on a brave face. They'll still talk a lot of trash and have fun with it. But, they got to be miserable. How can you be excited about the season when
you're looking into my soul?
Yeah, when you have no shot. You have no shot now. You're on the outside looking in.
Jordan, but their sport will be to hate and trash the Huskies. That's what it's going to be. They're going to have fun. Don't you think, Puck? There's always room for some good trash.
Yeah, but I think
Puck.
what's gonna be different now moving forward, and I'm not saying that there hasn't been this before, but there's always been that somewhat friendly, because the families, because it's in the state, you have family members that are Cougar fans and Husky fans and all that, right?
Right.
I think it's gonna morph a little bit more into vitriol, and I think it's gonna get a little bit more Oregon, Washington, like that real hatred where honestly, I've thought about this a lot. I mean, I think it could get ugly in September in Seattle. I just think because so many people, on both sides, but on one particular side are very angry. And, it's lost a little bit of that that brotherhood, that brother rivalry a little bit. And maybe this is a good thing for the rivalry. Maybe it needed this. Maybe it needs a spice of it. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, I think it's been pretty spicy for a long time. I don't know. But it is, I will say that there's a different tone and tenor than UW Oregon. That there's no question. Me, I could go on and on about the tone and tenor of that compared to the tone and tenor we rib each other, Cougs and Huskies. We give each other a bad time, but you're gonna bro hug at the end of it. You're gonna dap some. I mean, you're still they're still your neighbor and they're still your your coworker and all that. It's different than it is with the Ducks.
Just hey, when we win, just make sure that that Pat gets out of there and is safe exiting the field.
I think that doesn't help the. I don't think that helps the friendly rivalry.
No, your AD who's in a Whitman County courthouse arguing against the school that a month later he takes the job.
Yeah, I knew that was going to go over really well with all my Coug brothers. That was great. Well, I mean, it's like this to me is what you said. I think you're 100% right because I've seen it too on Twitter and even I know people where they flat just hate Huskies. It doesn't matter, And I knew some guys like that before and it was more of the guy that just hated the Huskies forever. But now it's like that friendly banter that you used to be able to have. It's like now he's a dick. It's just
it's a little bit. It can get a little bit more aggressive and certainly cross the line maybe a little bit more. But we shall see. We got a few more shows before that one coming up on September 14th. Next time we talk, we'll be talking after their first game against Weber State. I don't think we need to break down Weber State. I think Washington will be fine in that week 1 game. Then we got Eastern Michigan, and then the Apple Cup September 14th. I've taken up way too much of your time. You guys are the best. Thanks for doing it this year. We'll be doing it every week. We'll release new episodes every Wednesday. They've been gracious enough to allow me to name it Puck the Huskies Podcast. I think it's gonna grow on everyone. It's brought to you by the fabulous folks there at Georgetown Brewery, locally owned and operated by 2 diehard Husky fans, Manny and Roger. They've been pouring the best local craft beer for the past 23 years. Of course, Manny's Pale Ale, Bodie's Off IPA, and of course, all of your other favorite beers. Tap room is open 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. Visit them at georgetownbeer.com. Follow Jordan Reffett on Twitter at Jordan Reffett, and of course, the great Elise Woodward at Elise M. Woodward. You guys are the best. We'll talk to you after Weber State.
Go Dogs.
Thank you, guys.
God, I knew you were going to sneak that in there. We'll talk to you.
Puck.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later. Okay, you can watch this on YouTube, listen to it, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, and, of course, one-stop shop, everything all up at pucksports.com.